Do you want to create your own ERC-721 token on the Hedera network? I'll show you how to deploy an ERC-721 contract using MetaMask, Remix IDE, and OpenZeppelin Smart Contract Wizard. This video is ideal for beginners that want to explore smart contract deployment on Hedera. In this video, you'll learn how to create an ERC-721 contract using the OpenZeppelin wizard. You'll also learn how to deploy your ERC-721 smart contract using the Remix IDE and how to interact with your contract using MetaMask. Make sure you've watched Jake's previous video where he explains how to set up your Hedera account and configure your MetaMask for the Hedera network. Okay, now let's get started. First, let's go to the wizard at wizard.openzeppelin.com. Here you can select an ERC-721 contract and let's customize it further. Let's go here. All right, let's get started by going to OpenZeppelin contracts. So if you go to OpenZeppelin, you can select the ERC-721 contracts. And this is the base contract that we will actually use to further customize. So first we need to provide a name. So I'll just call it the lemons and the symbol is going to be ls. So you already can see in the constructor, our parameters are being added. And then we can also define a base URI. This can be any link you want. And then we have a couple of options. We can define many different features. We can make our token burnable, which adds a burnable function. We can make it pausable, which adds a pausable function. There's also access control. You can make it ownable. And there's even upgradability. So by default, smart contracts are immutable, but there are certain design patterns that make them actually upgradable. Let's keep it simple. And I just want to be able to mint new NFTs for our collection. And then we have an option, auto increment IDs or not. If you don't do this, you can see the signature of our SafeMont function is 2 and then token ID. So this means we can actually specify our own token ID when we mint a new NFT in our collection. However, to make it sometimes simpler and we don't have to define our own IDs, we can say auto increment. It will start counting from 0 and each time a new NFT gets added to our collection, the ID will increase. So let's use this as our default and let's copy the code on the right top, which we will actually start using in our Remix IDE. So now let's go to the Remix IDE and you can see a smart contracts folder. In this folder, let's create a new file and I will call it myNFT.sol. Let's paste our code from the wizard. You'll get a notification, a warning, just say close, it's fine. And as you can see, it has pasted our code correctly. And now we can actually compile the smart contract. Make sure the contract file is actually highlighted. Let's go to the Solidity compiler and let's compile myNFT.sol. So now our contract has been compiled. So let's move over to deploy a run transactions section. Here you can see that we actually need to select our injection provider MetaMask because we want to sign our transaction in MetaMask. This is something that Jake has explained in his previous video about ERC-20 token deployment on Hedera. We use MetaMask to sign all the transactions. Make sure to select the right account. These are the ones from the injection provider that actually say Ether, but this actually means HBAR. So select account with the most HBAR. And then we can use the estimated gas. We don't want to set any value to the contract upon deployment. And let's select the right contract. Let's use our lemons contract. There you go. And to deploy it, we actually need to set the owner of the contract. So we just want to be the owner. So let's select our account and paste it here into the field. And now you can see the deploy function can be called. So if we click on this, the transaction will pop up. We'll have to confirm the transaction. The transaction will be submitted to the Hedera network for approval. And once the transaction has been accepted, which can take some seconds, it means that our NFT collection has been deployed on Hedera. So there we go. We have a success. So the collection has been actually deployed on Hedera. The next thing we want to do is to mint a new NFT. So if you scroll a bit down in the Remix IDE, you see the deployed contract section and you can see our lemons contract. So if we expand this, you can see all the functions that we can actually call. So if you want to know the balance of our current account, it should be 0 because we haven't minted any new NFTs. Let's call it. And if we inspect the call data, you see our address has a balance of 0. So next, let's use a SafeMint function to mint a new token for us. So let's send it to ourselves. There we go. And let's hit the save mint transaction. We have to approve the transaction again in MetaMask. The transaction will be submitted to the network and it has been accepted. So if you want to check the balance again, let's call our balance of function again. We should see in the call data that we have a balance of 1. Now let's make sure it's also popping up in our MetaMask. I have MetaMask in full screen in the browser. You can actually see we have deployed our contract here and we have safely minted a new ID. So if we go to our NFT section, you'll see the lemons collection here. You can click on the lemon and you can see the token ID has been set to 0. And if each time we mint a new NFT in our collection, the ID will actually increment. We can look it up on the Hedera Transaction Explorer. So if we click, for example, on the contract deployment, and you click on View Block Explorer, if you've configured this correctly, it will actually redirect you to Hashcan and look up the right transaction and contract ID. So you can see our contract ID is this one. And if we go here, you'll find a lot of information about our contract, like for example, the type is ERC-721, our name is Lemons, and the symbol is LS. So that's it. It shows you perfectly how to deploy a contract on Hedera using an ERC-721 contract. Thank you.